All right, so it's day 4 of the battle. I haven't been working on it non-stop. I've been letting the rust buster soak and try to get a handle on it. But yesterday we started trying to get the ball joint off, lower ball joint, closest one to the road. And this car grew up in Maryland, so you know they salt the roads. So let's go take a look. It's rusted, but let's look. So there's the lower ball joint right there. Got the nut broke, but I cannot get that ball joint to separate from, I wish I knew the proper name of this, but it should separate. I watched lots of YouTube videos, and when I get it separated, it should fill that gap. It should drop down to the nut, and it's just not cooperating. So I sprayed a bunch of rust buster on it, and it set overnight. So hopefully it's gonna bust loose. It's gonna bust loose. I kept calling this the idler arm in the other video. It's the control arm. Finally got that back up in there, but it's not totally connected because you need it disconnected right there for this to drop down when the ball joint breaks loose. So wish me luck. That's the deal. All I got to do is get that lower ball joint, and this whole thing can start going back together. So there's the culprit right there. There's the new one. There's the new one. And you're supposed to be able to put a fork in there like that and break it loose. Well, my plan, if this one don't work, this one's supposed to be a little thicker. I'm gonna stack the two forks together, and hopefully it's gonna bust loose. If not, if it don't bust loose, gotta take the steering control arm off and take this whole thing off, and then just commence to beat the crap out of it, I guess. Well, finally got the nut off, and I wish I knew what that was called right there. That separated. Now this ball joint's supposed to push down through and come out, but oh my, it ain't doing no such thing. So here's a word of advice. When you take your truck in and it looks rusted and they quote you $3,000, that's a drop in a bucket. Drop in the bucket for all the hassle you are going to run into. Whew. And I bet you the $3,000 would have turned into $5,000 on this one, just because of all the crazy rust. Now, if I can get that ball joint to push down through, I need leverage. I need a pipe, and there's no pipe to be had. A pipe to put on my breaker bar and give me some leverage. Well, we'll keep trying. Got the nut off at least. Alright, so we heated it up, cooled off the ball joint. Now I'm ready to press it back in. Of course, I got that from Harbor Freight, the ball joint tool. Let's do it. It's starting to look more like a truck. This ball joint down there, oh my. That was rough. Now I just gotta tighten up the hubs, route this cable back where it belongs, put the brakes back on. Might have this side done. So we did the upper ball joint, the lower ball joint, and this tie rod, I don't know exactly what it's called, and the shock strut. Oh, this is the best money I ever spent. This little tool right here to push your pistons back in. That way you don't have to bleed your brakes. I never opened the brakes, so I don't have to bleed them. I'll push those pistons back in there and they'll stay in there. And then I'll get them over top of the discs and then tighten them down. Alright, this was the side giving us a hard time, and thank God a neighbor came over and showed us the trick of the trade, and it's been going good ever since. Now, the problem over here was I neglected to put that grease fitting in. So now I'm going to have to cuss and discuss getting that in. All we got to do is put the tire on. Whew. Yeah, next time, pay the cash. Alright, it's finally on the ground. If you don't mind being on your knees and fighting a bunch of rust, have at it. Or when they tell you $3,000, don't be shocked. Just get it done. Let them do the dirty work. Because this was down and dirty.